Hey you guys, this is slowrider. We're gonna do another segment of slowrider talks. Let's talk about some trilogies. Not just trilogies, series and all. They don't have to have 3 movies. We might even dive into some prequels. Now, I'm gonna start off with a very memorable trilogy, Star Wars. Star Wars, the prequels do not count, okay? The prequels don't. They're wasted potential, and they are not going to be mentioned again. Star Wars was a fun science fiction movie that I watch over and over again. I mean, and the best part is unlike I'm going to mention them again, the prequels, you actually like Luke and unlike Anakin, and the lightsaber battles, they don't look as forced. They don't look as choreographed. They're like, I don't know if that lightsaber impression was quite bad. I'm sorry you had to hear that. But yeah, the Star Wars trilogy, man, they were quite good. I mean, like, just the characters. It was really the characters that drove it for me. I mean, the characters were great. I mean, most of them were likable. Even Darth Vader was likable. Warning, this will contain spoilers of some of the movies I mentioned. I mean, when he kills the Emperor, not when he says no, that never happened. When he kills the Emperor, it's so cool. You're like, yeah, America. You just feel you like the guy. You like a villain, and that is very hard to do. And Star Wars got you like almost every single character on screen. Jar Jar Binks does not count because those films never happened. And Star Wars did something rare. For New Hope, I love that movie. Empire Strikes Back. I mean, Return of the Jedi, I love that movie, but it raised the bar from New Hope to Empire Strikes Back. That is a rare thing to do. Sure, was Empire Strikes Back better than Return of the Jedi? Yeah, but still, all the movies are great, and it is the staple. It's like the poster boy for trilogies and series. I mean, I have a VHS of Empire Strikes Back, and I have a DVD of Empire Strikes Back in my room. I don't have the others in my room because my brother saw them. But yeah, anyway, that is what I had to start this out on. The most memorable trilogy of all time, in my opinion. I'm going to get into a little bit of a longer series. If you know what I mean, some of you might know what I mean. The Harry Potter saga that ended last year. I mean, yeah, most of these movies were pretty good. All of them were good. Some of them were great, and then we had Chamber of Secrets. But you know, we always have that bump in the road. There's always a bump in the road. Star Wars had the prequels, and Indiana Jones had Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I'll get to that later. But anyway, this series had a lot of fun magic action sequences, and when things got dark, they got dark. I mean, one of my favorites is Prisoner of Azkaban, and that is when the ride is no longer for kids. It gets dark and gritty. People die, okay, kids? I mean, it happens. Like, people will get killed after Prisoner of Azkaban. Not to mention the Dementors. Those used to freak me out. I don't know why, but they did. I was worried after I saw the movie that the Dementors were gonna suck my soul out in my sleep. So, you know, that's always, it was no longer for kids. I like how, and they did a very good job of knowing after Chamber of Secrets, they couldn't make it kiddie anymore. They had to make it, they had to make it dark, and they did a perfect transition with Prisoner of Azkaban, where it had light moments, but then it got dark towards the end, and then they went on with that dark path. I want to talk about the Goblet of Fire. I felt like that was a very good one because I really enjoyed how the last event, the maze scene. Now that is when Harry Potter got dark, dark, dark. And that is when the whole series became great. I mean, people would, and they're killing people for sport. And Voldemort comes back and he looks like Gollum, kind of, like Gollum if, he smoked for a while and he was like, kill. But yeah, so that is when it got dark. So let me get to the final Harry Potter. That was an exhilarating movie. It was quite good. Was it one of my top movies of 2011? No, but it was very good, and it did what a summer blockbuster should. I mentioned in my Men in Black 3 review what a summer blockbuster should be. It should be a fun time at the theater, good jokes most of the time, and pretty good acting. I mean, and that's what this movie was. I mean, it just had fun, and I was just like, when Neville Longbottom killed the snake, I was kind of shocked. I always liked Neville because he was kind of nerdy, and he kind of reminded me of myself. If I was a wizard, I would be pretty awkward with the power, but that's how it all works. And he reminded me of myself, and I loved him for it, and he really rise to the occasion. And as I said in my last slowrider talks, we need a good supporting hero, and all these people did good supporting heroes: Ron, Hermione, Neville, and not to mention Harry was awesome, and Voldemort was awesome, even though he never did the Voldemort scream. Okay, let's move on to another series. RoboCops. I love RoboCop 2. It is my biggest guilty pleasure movie. It's such a fun time. I haven't seen RoboCop 3. I've seen RoboCop 1 and 2 because 3 I hear is awful, and Peter Weller's not in it, so I was just like, why bother? I just own it to complete the series. I mean, what RoboCop does is, even though it's campy and, not realistic, and it's no Terminator, but, it is a fun time. And the reason I say this is because, once again, that's what a movie has to be. Some people, I'm a critic sometimes. When I have I can be critic at times. Did you see how I pulled apart ATM? But then again, there were times when I realized that fun times are just fun times, and you gotta give a movie that, and RoboCop 2 does just that. So that's why I had to mention it. Let me get into some superheroes. X-Men 1, 2, and 3. I mean, I liked X-Men 1. It was very character-based. You really got to know the characters, and that was good. I enjoyed that. And then X-Men 2 was even better. You got to learn about a whole new character you really didn't get to learn about. Like, you got more in depth with Iceman, more in depth with Pyro, and you got to meet Nightcrawler. And, you really could feel for the characters. And, but then Last Stand came, and it was just a disappointment. It was too actiony, not enough character base, and that's what I liked about them. But then X-Men Origins came, and I really hated that one. They ruined Deadpool, my favorite character in all of Marvel, and they ruined him for me. They redeemed themselves, though, with a little film called X-Men First Class. This movie was awesome. Michael Fassbender was a perfect Eric Lencher. I can't think of his name. Was a perfect James McAvoy. It was like the same James McAvoy. Professor X was a perfect James McAvoy. James McAvoy was a perfect Professor X. I will be right back, and this is going to be shorter than my last one, and I will be right back. Hello, I am back, and I am here to talk about with my power of love for movies. Yes, I'm going to talk about probably one of my favorites, right next to Star Wars trilogies of all time. It was on my top 15 favorite movies of all time, the Back to the Future trilogy. I cannot find many flaws with this movie. Yeah, sure, there were some plot holes, but it's such a fun time that you really do not care. I mean, honestly, I could not find the plot hole in the first one. I just can't. The second and third, yeah, I can, but they still did the first movie justice. And that is what makes this trilogy so great, is that even though the first one set the bar high, the second one went a little bit below, just like an inch, and did the first movie justice. Then the third one went just a little bit above the second. I like the third more than the second. And it did the first and second movie justice. So in the end, all these films are perfect for a trilogy, and they are just such a fun time. The acting is great. I love Michael J. Fox. I love Christopher Lloyd. And, honestly, I love the character of George McFly in the first one. He's so dorky, and he's so, I would hang out with him. I don't care if he's a peeping Tom, I would. And I love the plot of the Back to the Future. They're very original. The guy gets his mom to fall in love with him. And that is very cool, and that is why I had to mention it on this talk. Me having a heart-to-heart with you guys about trilogies. Okay, let me get into one of my favorite. Again, this was on my list, and no, it is not my favorite film of all time trilogy. It is Jurassic Park. Boy, are these movies good. Not the third. I'll get into that in a few minutes. The first, wow, this movie was phenomenal. I mean, loved it so much. It was such a fun time. Did it have a deeper meaning? No. But did I really care while watching it for the first time when I was 8? No. I was having a fun time watching Jeff Goldblum getting chased by dinosaurs. I mean, it was such a fun time because it was so unrealistic. I've always wanted to go to a theme park with dinosaurs. You have it? See? I mean, just seeing dinosaurs now would be scary, but it would also be interesting if they were behind gates. And I love the idea that there was a theme park with dinosaurs, and that they have to keep the meat eaters in gates, and they can keep the vegetarians out. And I love the opening scene, where he first sees I forgot what they're called. They have long necks. I just referred to them as long necks when I was in school. And, well, I'm still in school, I can't lie. But I call them long necks, and, I just love that scene where he tells them, we have a T-Rex, and he's like, what? We have a T-Rex. Did you not hear me correct? Second film. This movie, again, just like the Back to the Future, does the second film justice. It is very, very good. It's really good, and I love how it follows Jeff Goldblum's character, because I love Jeff Goldblum. I love The Fly. So, I really enjoy Jeff Goldblum, and I'm glad he was in this one. And it does the first movie justice. I do not see, if people don't like this one, I don't see why. I mean, sure, was it as good as the first? No, but it's hard to make a sequel that's better than the original. Let's get to the third. Wasted potential. I mean, the third movie, I hate it. First of all, it's not good. It would only be watch it but don't pay, for my rating system. But the reason it would get the Suckfest rating is because of how excited I was to watch it. I mean, the movie just didn't do any of the film's justice, and it wasn't good. It just fell flat, and I didn't like the kid actor. I could never get into his character. I mean, yeah, you have the guy from the first one, and the other two, there's like the two parents, like I feel like I've seen them be parents of some other kid in some other movie. And like seeing them again, I was just like, I don't really buy this. Like, if buy, he'd have to go back to the island again, but I don't really buy that. And how do you even lose your kid on an island? I don't remember how they did, but still. I mean, why would you lose? Well, you have to really keep good track when it's an island with dinosaurs. Be good parents. So that's a flaw in the movie right there. I'm going over to another trilogy. Yes, trilogy talk. If you haven't been listening, if you just joined in, just skipped ahead. Trying to think of a trilogy to talk about. Oh, I know one. Can't believe I forgot about this. I feel like an unproper fanboy. The Lord of the Rings trilogy. This was my third favorite film of all time. I consider all three of them one big film. I mean, but if I had to list them as my favorites, I'd go number 1, Return of the King, number 2, Two Towers, number 3, Fellowship of the Ring. All are great movies. All of the films do each other justice. And I mean, I could have seen all of them taking home Best Picture. I really wish they would have. But, one of them did, and all I can say is, Peter Jackson, you never have to prove yourself to anyone again. You have these films. And the acting in these movies are so awesome. Elijah Woods is probably my favorite character, Frodo. I really like him because he really has a hard time. Sure, he's not fighting physically, but he's fighting mentally. He has to keep himself, he has to keep himself grounded because this ring will take you over. You see Gollum. So he has to fight off himself. He has to fight off his utter ego mentally. And I figure that's the best fight in the movie. An ego fight between Frodo that's good and evil Frodo who can get corrupted by the ring. And I mentioned this in my hero talk, is that Sam really helps him with that, and you need a supporting character to help you through everything. It's kind of like in life. You need a friend by your side. And that is a true statement to this day. Not to mention Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, and Gandalf. Epic supporting characters. Epic supporting characters. Frodo's the main character. I'm saying that. They are epic. I mean, Gandalf has one of the most memorable lines in cinema history for me. You shall not pass! If you always could have said that. And I love Gimli and Legolas' back and forth. How he's like, I never thought I'd die beside the Nilf. How about a friend? And I love how they count who kills each other. I'm pretty sure I said this in my review. And Aragorn, he is like a staple cinema leader. I have not seen a better leader since Swan from the Warriors. He is awesome. Gollum and Sauron. Sauron's just intimidating because how much power he has, but Gollum, you feel sad and you're frightened. You don't know whether to feel him because he can kill you because he knows what things are, like giant spiders, or you should feel bad and take pity on him. That's one of the troubles Frodo has to face. I mean, in the end, trilogies are just perfect movies. They're mostly perfect movies. They're packed together. I'm running out of time, so I'm trying to think of one last trilogy to talk about. Toy Story. The Toy Story trilogy are some of my favorite animated films, and if I had to list them, I'd go Toy Story 3, Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2. I mean, Toy Story 3 is amazing, Toy Story 1 is amazing, Toy Story 2 is great. I mean, all of these movies were just awesome. I mean, I used to think my toys were alive. I mean, so I just could relate to Andy. You really liked Andy. Even when he was in college, you liked Andy. You liked all the toys because they were all kind-hearted. And they were kind of like family. Like in the third movie, when they get taken apart from Andy and they're just waiting to die and they all hold hands, you're just like, I cried. I cried 3 times in the third movie. One at the beginning, one at the end, and one in the middle. I mean, these toys force emotion out of you. I mean, I don't know how that's possible, that you get worked up over toys. I mean, that is powerful cinema right there. I mean, and not to mention, they have funny moments. I mean, animation is funny, and this is meant for kids, but it applies to everyone. It's like The Lion King. There are certain animated movies that, well, kids will only like. Well, there are kids movies that kids will only like, kids movies that no one will like, and kids movies that everyone will like. Toy Story 3 is one of the greatest animated movies of all time, right next to Lion King. And I know I'm not the only one who thinks this. I know it. I mean, Wizards is my favorite animated film of all time. Toy Story 3, close second. And I have a little more time than I actually thought I would. So, you know what? Let's work over one last trilogy if I can think of one. Wow. Got it. You know what? Let's talk about the Star Wars prequel-ish. They're really... Oh, no. I'm not going to waste my time with those awful movies. Let's talk about Austin Powers. Austin Powers, some of the funniest movies I have ever seen. I mean, it is picking fun at 007 and, just spy movies. And I mean, they do it in such a funny way where he's like a ladies man. That's what I think myself is. Shut up, I'm Ryan Gosling right now. He is just awesome, not to mention great funny supporting characters and a great villain, Dr. Evil. One of the most quotable lines in a comedy movie ever. Get all I need to get is $1 million. I mean, I watch these movies a ton. I remember one time, like, one of my DVDs broke because I watched it so much. It was awesome. These movies are phenomenal. I cannot believe none of you. If anyone hasn't seen them yet, go watch them now. Why are you still watching me? And if I had to list them, I've been doing this in most of my trilogies, I would have to list them Gold Member, first one, and the Spy Who... No, the first one's The Spy Who Shagged Me, and I don't know what the second one is, but that's the weakest link. Toy Story and Austin Powers, the second one's the weakest link, and Back to the Future. But anyway, I'm going to cut it a little bit short, because anyway, it is late at night when I'm doing this, so I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.